Hi, everybody. DJ Yokley with you for another edition of Coach's Corner with Tony Foster, the head ball coach of the East Palestine Football Bulldogs. Coach Foster, how are you, sir?
Fantastic. Yourself?
I'm doing well, my friend, doing
Good.
well. It's a big game. I can't put too many bigs around it. This coming Saturday, tomorrow as it stands, as we talk here, 2 p.m. against Ashtabula St. John's. Talk to me about how this game kind of came to fruition.
Well, we obviously with the 2020 season and sort of the chaos that came with it. They said that after week 6 that the playoffs were optional, and that teams were able to opt out of the playoffs. And so as it came down to decision time as to what to do, I sat with my seniors and we talked, and they hashed out their options of week 7 going and playing one of the higher seeded teams in the region, or possibly looking for a team that's it's got similar numbers as us, and in a similar situation, because let's face it, if we were playing one of the top tier teams, it would not be a competitive game right now. So the seniors said that they would like to play a competitive game. So and then they wanted to schedule more competitive games after that. So that's why we've went with week 7, 8, 9, 10. We filled up with teams that were available and willing to schedule us, and that we feel that we might have a chance to hang in and be competitive with. So
So what's
that's
the rest of
where we're at.
the schedule look like? It's Ashtabula St. John's in week 7. Week 8 is
Yes,
who?
Wyndham at Wyndham,
Okay, week 9.
and week 9 is Camel at home,
Okay,
and
and then week
then
10,
Louisville at home.
Louisville at home. Okay, so all filled up here on Bulldog football the rest of the way out. And so my question, and you might know this better than most. Let's say one team doesn't, isn't able to compete. I know that there's other teams that are saying enough's enough. I think Chalker, off the top of my head, is one of them that said we're done for the season. If one of those teams doesn't have enough people, or I mean, the numbers where you're at, if you guys don't have, are you free to cancel that game, or how does that work? There's no penalties, right?
As far as I know, there's no penalties towards that,
Okay.
and it's uh, kind of odd you bring that up today, as our next opponent would be Wyndham, and I've talked to the head coach at Waterloo. Wyndham and Waterloo played last night,
Correct.
and the coach from Waterloo threw out the idea that if Wyndham can't go, that they would be willing to step in if they were available, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a messed up situation, because they have on their schedule Mineral Ridge, but if Mineral Ridge wins in the playoffs, then Waterloo is stuck without a game. So they're trying to
It's a puzzle, is what it
set up
is.
the scenario for both situations. Um, and this week is I don't know. I guess there was an article in the paper that was sort of I don't know, sort of bashing us, that we don't have United on our schedule. Well, at the beginning, that's how it played out. We didn't have United on our schedule. They're in the playoffs, so we schedule out the rest of our season. Well, we didn't necessarily have to schedule out contingent upon whatever happens to United. That's really not our problem. You know, to me,
Right.
you know,
I mean,
let's
that's what it
schedule.
is.
I don't want to have to schedule week 7. Oh, let's do this. If the other team, nobody's going to want to schedule you if you're putting all these contingency plans onto your agreement. So, um, you know, it was kind of like we're getting bashed for not having United on the schedule. Well, sorry, that's how it played out. We filled up the rest of our schedule. You know, if you're going in the playoffs, you run the risk of, hey, you might win. And I wish them all the best of luck, and I hope they continue. You know, it would be nice to see a representative from the league, you know, go on and continue throughout the playoffs and do very well. I hope they do. But, you know, I'm not going to schedule or not schedule the rest of my season to wait and see how they do in the playoffs.
Right, and I want to say this: it has nothing to do with United, but that was a hack job of a press release. They don't cover you in 17 games for more than 2 sentences, and all of a sudden they come out with some really bad reporting that, as far as I understand, wasn't even completely on the record. So, I'm not a fan of that article. Not a fan of ever bashing a program, but I'm not afraid to go at the press. Or when a bad situation is being put on a program like it is here in East Palestine. That was just that was a hack job, and do better, do better if you're out there watching, because that's, I mean, you got kids that are trying to finish this season, and that was inappropriate. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw that, I read it, and I thought to myself, this just not the way it should be. So I know you don't want to say it. I will. That was garbage. No matter what team, whether it's Palestine or any other team in the area, you just don't bash kids. I mean, they're 14 to 17, maybe 18-year-old kids. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. It's not their problem. It's not their fault. So, let me ask you this question, being kind of in that sentiment. 17 weeks of football without a victory. If you can get a win here, how does that change your program, and how does that motivate the kids, in the younger divisions? So 7th grade, 8th grade, flag football, to entice them back into Bulldog football, which was, as you and I both know, it was great to be a Bulldog, and not that it's not now, but my goodness, there's got to be a light at the end of this tunnel, Tone.
Yeah, there's, obviously you go into this with as a competitor, you want to win. And, it's always what you prepare for, and you plan on doing it. And, you know, obviously throughout the last 17 contests, there's been certain matchups that we felt more comfortable with, that we had our our teams matched up better against our opponents, and there have been other games where we're just kind of hoping for the best and we're planning for the best, but in reality, we know we're just going to have to kind of hold on and hopefully hang.
So let me ask you this, as I'm sure it looks like you're fielding a phone call there. Let me ask you
Sorry.
this. You're okay. What has been one of the biggest, and I've asked you this many times before, but what's been the biggest challenge for you personally, in facing these weeks, and motivating these young men in the face of adversity each and every time? Like, you and I talked off the record all the time. If, fall down 7, stand up 8. What's the biggest challenge for you in getting these guys ready to go on a Friday night, or in this case, a Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, to be completely honest with you, it wears on you. I'm a competitive guy. I want to win, and I prepare to win. And when that doesn't come to fruition, it's draining. It's disappointing, and so that over time really wears on you. So just making sure that I'm rejuvenated and energized, and don't get don't get in a rut because
Right.
of what's going on, and making sure that I'm giving my team the best that I have, and making sure that, maybe we're not a good matchup to win, but by God, I'm going to put us in the best spot as possible to make sure that we have a chance and we have an opportunity. So, um, and it gets uh, it gets frustrating because I had a coach once, when I was young in my career. Uh, he was talking to me and another young coach, and he had been my buddy's high school coach. One of his, I think he was his defensive coordinator, and he said, when Billy told him, said he was going into coaching, he said, "Billy, you're going to hate it." He said, "Coach, why? I love football, and I love the game." He said, "You're going to hate it because the kids will never want to win as bad as you do." And that is a frustrating piece, that as an adult and somebody that's been around winning programs, in college and in high school at different levels, and in my coaching career at different levels, you want to try to convey to your players what it takes to win. Um, I had to fight that feeling off the other day because I looked at uh, our minutes on Huddle. I looked at the players' minutes, and there were some guys that um, clearly haven't gotten the message, and they haven't put the time in. They're not putting the effort in. They're not putting the work into winning. Um, and then I have, I'll point him out. Sam Yonkers. Sam Yonkers had on a Wednesday. He has accumulated 2 hours and 45 minutes of film time. So that that young man wants to win, and he's willing to prepare to do what's necessary to win. So, we talked about that, and there were young gentlemen that I called on the carpet because they need to be held accountable
Hmm.
to their teammates about how much effort they're putting in. So, um, I'm going to check again today before practice, and if they did a good job of turning it around, I'll let them know that. And if they didn't, I'm going to let them know that too. So um, I, that's a long answer for the question that you threw out there, but um, that to me is um, the biggest challenge during this, is that I want to make sure that they are getting my best, and that I am constantly trying to get them to the spot where I feel they need to be successful.
And that's what a coach and a mentor and a role model is supposed to do, especially in the high school stages. So let me ask you this question. There's an old adage that there's about 6 inch difference between a pat on the back and the kick in the ass. Talk to me about when you know the right situation, especially for your guys. You've dealt with many different personalities over the years, both as a player, now as a coach. Um, how do you know the right time for either one?
Every player is different. I think you have to know the players that you have, and um, what their buttons are, what their motivations are, and there are some players that um, they don't respond well to the kick in the ass. Like they sort of shut down to that. There are other players that, if that's what it needs and that's what will get them going, that if they really really respond to that. So I think just knowing your players and knowing how to motivate them, and sometimes you can't go with the gentle hand of what each individual needs. You got to get a read as a team what they need. So So yeah, it's kind of a complicated deal because, yeah, you want to look at it on an individual level, but at the same time, um, you're not dealing with individuals. You're dealing with a team. So when do you deal with it as a team unit? When do you deal with them as an individual? So there's a balance there.
All right, it's time for my favorite time of the interview. It's Uncle Pony's story time with Tony Foster. Uncle Pony, let's talk about your story today. What do you got for us?
All right, this is a story that I shared with my players, and actually I shared it with my world history class at South Range also, and how it applies is asking for what you want. If you need help on something, you've got to ask, and if you want it, you got to ask to make it happen. And I said, this is actually about my dad. I said, for I don't know, as long as I can remember, every time when I go out to eat with my dad, um, when the waitress is coming around at the end, we finished our meals and she's collecting the plates. Um, they'll ask, "Would you like any dessert?" And his response is always, "Is it free?" And or if he might say, "Is it free pie?" And I said, it's crazy, and you know it's coming, but every once in a while, the old man gets free pie. Yeah, it's crazy, but every once in a while, he scores some free pie. So
Wow.
the moral of the story is, you got to ask.
You don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah, what's it hurt to ask? Worst they're going to say is no, and come back with some smart remark, and they'll joke about it, and it's a friendly little conversation. Or, in the best case scenario, here comes a piece of free pie. Why? Just because you asked for it.
Well,
So,
I hope you ask and receive a victory tomorrow, my friend. Nobody deserves it more than you. You've worked incredibly hard. I know how much time you've put in, how much film time you've put in, and your wonderful family deserves a little bit of a sigh of relief. So hopefully you go out there and the Bulldogs put the recipe for a free piece of pie tomorrow for you.
hey, thanks. We're going to do the best we can, and hopefully it turns out in our favor. So we'll make sure we ask for the free pie.
Go get them, buddy.
All right, go Bulldogs. Thanks.